Cheers. Good. Just been out of English. Excuse me.
Oh, there you go.
Took
That's
up both
basically
sides.
another city. Yeah. How was it this time?
He was quite effusive about how it is, but as I said, it's quite easy to be effusive about something that all the time.
Yeah. He would have known him for a long time.
I said to him, so what do you think of this thing over there? He goes, she's fairly untested. She's been there 8 years, so you not noticed. You get the joke.
Yeah. Put on both. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get out. When they, I'm expecting to.
Yeah, she's here.
Oh,
She's
good.
here. Got a 3 for deal this morning.
Hey?
You've got a 3 for deal this
Yeah.
morning. You've got 1, 2 more to come. Never happens. 2.
It's good that they chose to support it.
To be fair, I was planning that I thought we were going, oh yeah, this will be fine. Because you just put how many cameras and things it's and iPhone is it's an iPhone holder. So you slosh it in and then it can straight. I'm not sure if it's very fancy.
Like the good old days, man. Good old days. Stills.
Saw your man yesterday, Jess.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
You're shooting stills today?
No, no.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. It's coming along well.
Yeah, it gets it groomed just around the corner. It
Oh,
just,
okay.
it takes great pleasure in it. See, it's annoying in English here because he gets to go and stay in the hotel where he is, so it can't be mad sort of spend
Oh, I
away in a
see what you
different
mean, yeah.
city, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a bit annoying.
Bosch has it.
Is that your light reading? If I just squeeze in between this phone and the... Just go a little to your right.
Shit, no, you can't because of. What is that? Maybe go up.
The light stream to the...
Don't worry.
What's the attachment on the side of the camera?
Oh, it's like a Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
Speakers there.
Just get it there.
Shit, that's good.
That's really cool.
Of course, you could just.
Oh, yeah, we were getting that too. Don't worry, we got that covered.
But I don't even know what I've got that here. I should just get that.
Yeah.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
expecting the usual.
Yeah. Standing by.
Same shoes.
Snap, eh?
Mine are men's shoes, so I copied them.
You could have so dissed me then I would have been shot down in front of you. You gave me a saving grace then.
Yeah, yeah.
Where's the shoes at the football?
Yeah. Someone Nelson, is it?
Yeah.
I can tell you they are super comfortable
Yeah.
and worth every cent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get some.
They're slowly taking over our newsroom.
Yeah.
Just trying to
We
recruit
can
people.
just chuck them in the washing machine.
Yeah. I
hope
know.
they're not going to be the new version of Crocs.
Yeah,
Oh.
maybe.
Could go that way.
Yeah, could go.
Could go-
Much
could
more
swing
attractive
there.
than Crocs. So.
We were there before that happened, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we
fine.
were wearing them in there.
We're the OGs,
They were
yeah.
still-
Just,
And you guys are
Still
cool
cool.
enough to make
Yeah.
them not crockish.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
There are some fluoro colours though. Well, there's one fluoro colour.
It's very on trend at the moment though. For, you know,
Wasn't trendy in the 80s.
now it's come back.
Okay.
Oh, no.
No.
Oops.
Yes. No.
That goes, no, you're going to move
No,
back just a
there's
little bit.
people out there.
Bit shot,
very
and then you
clearly.
shoot.
Sure.
There's people out there.
Even if you go over there and then,
Here?
You know,
yeah,
Well, good morning, everybody. I take it that everybody's ready to go. So as you will all have seen, this morning Annette King announced that she's stepping down from the Deputy Leader's role for the Labour Party and also retiring from Parliament in the general election this year. I want to begin by paying tribute to Annette in the time that I've been leader. She's been my deputy. She's been an absolutely outstanding deputy, loyal, hard-working, full of incredible advice, drawing on her vast experience, and she has been an absolute tower of strength to me in the leader's role. So there'll be opportunities to celebrate Annette's contribution to the party, to Parliament and to New Zealand in due course. But of course her going from the deputy leader's role means that there is a vacancy, and I'm here to announce today that at next week's caucus I will be nominating Jacinda Ardern for the role of deputy leader of the Labour Party. It is a decision of caucus, there has to be a vote, but I'm backing Jacinda. Jacinda, in her nearly 9 years in Parliament, has done tremendous work on a number of fronts. She's a fantastic networker. She connects with a part of the electorate who we're working very hard to connect with. It's Jacinda's generation who are the ones who are suffering worst from the neglect by this national government on housing, on health and on a range of other issues. She's become a fierce champion on child wellbeing issues, and that is another black mark for this country, that we just don't seem to be able to get it right when it comes to child wellbeing and child poverty. So Jacinda will bring fierce advocacy to that. So this is about setting us up for government from September the 23rd and about getting our team in place, and I have every confidence that if the caucus votes for Jacinda next week, that we will have a team that will lead us to victory on the 23rd of September. But right now, Jacinda, what have the comments?
I want to start by saying I feel incredibly humbled by Andrew's decision to nominate me to be deputy and replace Annette in the sterling job that she has done, and acknowledge that, of course, it is a caucus decision. There is a vote that needs to happen next week, and I won't be taking that for granted, and hope to spend a bit of time over the coming days to speak with my caucus colleagues. I also want to acknowledge Annette King. She is my friend. She has been my mentor, and she will continue to be both. She did call me yesterday to let me know that she had made this decision and that she supported me to replace her in that role, and I was incredibly humbled by that remark, by that gesture. She has been an incredible person in our caucus, and as she says, she's mid-career, so I'm excited to see what she does next. Otherwise, though, I am excited by the opportunity, if caucus supports me, to stand with Andrew and our team. Andrew has been a strong, decisive leader. He has unified the caucus. He's unflappable. He has a strong sense of social justice, and he's incredibly good-humoured. I've enjoyed working with him in front bench, and if caucus chooses to support me, I know I will enjoy the exciting challenge of being deputy alongside him.
Aren't you usurping the caucus right to free and independent vote by, as leader, influencing them in this way?
No, we have made it pretty clear. I've made it pretty clear. It is a caucus decision, but we do need to have somebody in the race. I'm nominating and backing Jacinda in the race, but the caucus will decide next week.
Would you be happy for anybody else to put up their hand?
Well, I'm backing Jacinda in the race because of the qualities I've talked about with Jacinda. Added to that, she's returned an outstanding result on the weekend in Mount Albert, and she is just what we need right now in terms of the deputy leadership of the party. So she has my support. I'm not aware of any others who are interested in it. Of course, anybody can put their name forward, and it will be the decision of the caucus on Tuesday.
Was Annette King pushed by, if not you two, by others in the Labour Party?
No, it was entirely Annette's decision.
How is that so, given that she was only this week saying the only reasons to replace her would be ageist or sexist? So which was it, ageist or sexist?
The decision that Annette has taken is entirely her decision. She's told me about it yesterday. She's made that decision.
You were adamant over the last few days that there was no vacancy. Why?
Well, the vacancy has turned up today, and that decision that Annette has taken is her decision. There is a vacancy now. It has to be filled, and I am backing Jacinda to fill the vacancy for deputy leadership.
Did you not know what was going on in your party?
I know everything that's going on in the party.
So you knew she was going to stand down?
There wasn't a vacancy until today. Annette has made her decision and announced it today. There is a vacancy, and we're now seeking to fill that, and we'll do that on Tuesday.
So when did you first know that she was going to resign? When were you told? How did the sequence of events play out?
She told me yesterday what her decision was, and it was agreed it would be announced this morning, and that is what has happened.
Is that the first time you heard that she was going to resign, or did you know before that?
No, she told me yesterday what her intentions were. We talked about how that would be, how it would manage today, and that's the discussions that
But did you know earlier?
She made her decision and told me about it yesterday, and then we talked about what would happen today, and that's been the
Did
discussion.
she tell you she was musing over it before she made her final decision? Did she tell you it was something she was considering?
Listen, it doesn't matter all that stuff. She made a decision yesterday, and she told me
Why
yesterday,
doesn't it
and
matter?
indeed told Jacinda yesterday, and now we're dealing with the consequences of that
It
decision.
does matter, Mr. Hill, because you categorically said there was no vacancy available, so we're just trying
That's
to
right.
establish a timeline. Did she indicate to you that she was musing over this decision before she gave you her final decision yesterday?
So she told me yesterday what her decision was, and that is what we're dealing with today.
Jacinda,
her
when were
decision.
you first approached about it?
I've indicated that my conversation with Annette was yesterday. She called me to tell me that she had made this decision. Anyone that knows Annette King knows that she knows her own mind. She's an incredibly strong-minded person, and she told me once that she had made a decision and was resolved in herself. But actually, we didn't have a conversation about that before that.
So not just her, others. Did anyone else approach you before yesterday to ask you to
The
become a deputy leader?
the only person who was interested in whether or not there was ever going to be a vacancy was, of course, Annette. It was her decision. She told me when she'd made that decision, and I felt very humbled that that she suggested she'd like me to take on the role.
Last time this job came up, you said categorically that you were not interested in it. In fact, you said there's a lot of backroom stuff that goes with that job that you were keen on. So what's changed?
I've always said it's not a job I would ask for, but if I was asked, and if the party and my team thought I was well placed to do the job, then I would happily take on the role. I believe I have what it takes. And we have a strong team who are ready to change the government. But for me, it was all about what the team needed me to be doing.
How are you going to convince the public that? How are you going to convince the public? Because the general consensus is that you're not that well known out there. How are you going to convince them that you're going to be, if it comes off, the Deputy Prime Minister?
In the same way I've approached everything in my political career, through hard graft and hard work. I take nothing for granted. I don't expect anyone to assume that simply these things just fall into place. They fall into place when you work hard. And as Deputy Leader, I will work very hard with my team alongside Andrew to change the government.
Mr. Little, did you try and convince Annette King to stay on when she said that she was going to stand down from the leadership?
I asked her to stay on the front bench and in the health portfolio. She did give that some further thought, and then she told me last night that she'd rather now pave the way for her retirement from politics and to step out from all roles, so that's what she's doing.
Just on January the 28th, you told Girl Focus that you emphatically would never go for a role of leadership. I think your words were, only if you were the designated survivor. What's changed in a month?
I recall that interview, and that wasn't the exact question that was asked.
What was it?
It was a much wider question around future aspirations. I've been very, very clear that to Andrew and to the team and to those who have asked me, I'll do the job that I'm asked to do. Andrew has asked me to consider taking on this role. I'll now go to my caucus and see whether or not they would like me to take on that role, and if they agree, then that is the job I will do for the team. I've always maintained, for me, it's all about making sure Labour's in the best position to lead, to be in government, and if they believe that me being in the deputy role is part of that, then that's the job I'll do.
This looks like a bigger strategic alignment if you look at Marion Street, Jacinda Ardern now, so are there any others that you're looking to replace or shuffle out, change over?
Well, I don't get to control the decisions of other people, so
You can make strong suggestions though, I'm sure.
when other people make decisions, then we have to deal with those. I think the next thing will be Raymond Home will come in as the new list MP, given the list placing that Jacinda will leave, so we will deal with that. But I'm not anticipating any further changes.
So can you categorically say, hand on heart, that those two decisions, Marion Street and Annette King, were decisions made by those individuals, no suggestions from you and no other pushing from inside the party?
Well, they are their decisions. They have the right to make those decisions. Annette's decision about the deputy leadership and retirement is her decision.
Or anyone else in the party? No pushing from you or anyone else in the party?
Well, I'm not everybody else on the party, but they are strong women.
Everything that goes on within the party.
They are strong women who are able to make their own decisions in their own interests and in the interests of the wider party, and they've done that, and I'm very thankful for it.
What would you say? What would you say to people that would say that this is hardly a ringing endorsement of you to become the next Prime Minister when she was lined up, obviously, for a cabinet position if you'd won?
Who are you talking about now?
Annette King deciding to get out is hardly a ringing endorsement of you as a potential Prime Minister.
I think what you're seeing, though, is the lineup that we are presenting, the fresh face of the next Labour-led government. Because there's no question, many New Zealanders are now saying we have to do something different. We need a new approach, and we need the right people with fresh ideas, energy, vitality to bring us to do that. And Annette has been an absolutely staunch campaigner on health, and she's laid the foundation for the changes that we will make in health. But she's made her decision about her political career, and she's decided to call time on that, and I respect that decision. I urged her to stay on the front bench, stay in health. She's made her decision. I respect it, and we'll have plenty of time to celebrate her contribution. But as leader, I've got to make sure that we've got the team in place to lead us to victory in September, and to lead the next government, and to make the changes that all New Zealanders now need.
Can I clarify with you?
Jacinda just won a strong Labour Home seat and is now promoted to potentially deputy. That's a bit of a promotion, don't you think?
Yeah,
Very
well,
quickly?
yep, going to the deputy leader role as a promotion. If Caucus accepts my nomination and supports her to do that, it's a good thing. She had an outstanding achievement on Saturday night. It was a very weird by-election. It was a very difficult by-election, and we had to work very hard to get our vote out, and we got that vote out. And thanks to Jacinda and her work and the campaigning work that she does, the organising work that she does, and she does have a reach that the party generally has worked hard to get to, and she's got that, and that's why she's the best candidate for deputy right now, and I'm going to back her for that.
Annette King was quite strong on discipline. Do you think that Jacinda will be the same?
Absolutely and utterly. Jacinda's been part of the front bench, part of my front bench team since the time I've been leader, and totally and utterly disciplined, loyal, supportive, as that whole team has been. We've had 2 and a bit years now of a total caucus that has been focused, disciplined, doing good stuff, and setting us up for the general election this year, and I'm very pleased and very confident.
Bill
So
English-
how we
Yourself
one of the questions
as a
coming
deputy
through on our
parliament.
live feed is whether or not you told the strict truth on TV the other day about the vacancy. Can you assure the public that you did indeed tell the truth?
Yes, I did tell the truth. There was not a vacancy until Annette made her announcement this morning.
Can I clarify with you, at any time did you have a conversation with Annette King saying that you don't think she should be the deputy leader anymore?
I just say again, Annette is capable of making up her own mind, making
But
her own
did you have
decisions.
that
She and I,
conversation?
as my deputy, we are talking every day, multiple times a day, on multiple sorts of issues. So I'm not saying I've never had a conversation with Annette King about all sorts of things, because of course I had. But she has made her decision about the deputy leadership and about calling time on her political career. That's what you would expect of someone like Annette, who has served the Labour Party and the New Zealand Parliament and the New Zealand public in the way that she has over so many years.
So you
She
did have
she
a
knows her own
conversation
mind,
with Mr.
and she's
Little.
made her own decision.
So you did have a conversation with her about the keeping the deputy leadership or not before she gave her decision yesterday. You said you've had conversations. You're not going to say you didn't have that conversation. So
Well,
you did.
and the way that I have conversations with every MP about everything that they're doing, she has made her decision. She's made her decision to call time on her political
That's not the
career
question
and the
we're
deputy
asking.
leadership.
What we're just
Why are
trying
you
to
so
clarify
reluctant?
is
Why
if
are you
it
so
came-
reluctant to say whether you had this conversation? What's the problem with telling
I'm
us?
not at all reluctant to respond to your questions and have conversations with the journalists. I have conversations with MPs too, and Labour MPs in particular. The truth is, and be
Are
very
you
clear,
concerned it would
Annette,
show dissension in the ranks if
There-
you admitted you had a conversation with her?
there's
about
no
the
dissension in the
leadership?
ranks. Annette King is capable of making her own decisions and making up her own mind, and she has done that.
Are you expecting 100% support when this goes to the vote? Are you anticipate 100% support for Jacinda?
Well, caucus members will make up their
I
own
know,
mind.
but you must
but
have,
there
you
is-
must have talked to people about it.
But it goes to a caucus vote.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak for caucus before they voted, but I anticipate strong support for Jacinda.
I am going to put morning tea on if that helps, just in case.
Jacinda, how you prepare yourself as a deputy prime minister? Maybe you are the youngest one in the history.
Not something I've checked, to be honest, but 9 years in Parliament certainly helps prepare you. But of course, this will be my first time, obviously, in a role like that. There will be things I'll need to learn from people like Annette to make sure that I'm taking on all ambits of the job. Some of it's administrative, some of it's party focused, but ultimately I'll try and bring the strengths that I've already tried to develop, being a strong advocate locally on things like issues like housing, which is a massive concern for voters in Auckland and for my generation, whilst also continuing to be an advocate on some of my portfolios like child poverty, child welfare.
How will
Bill
you lead
English-
the campaign in the general election?
Sorry?
How will you lead the campaign in the general election?
My view is that I'll be very much campaigning alongside our leader, Andrew. Ultimately, my job will be a support role. It's something I'm very much looking forward to. I love campaigns, and I've really enjoyed working with Andrew. He's, despite the long hours, the hard graft of being leader, he always maintains a good sense of humour. He looks after his team, and I know we'll enjoy this campaign together.
Bill
And
English
you've had
has
the most
said-
recent experience in
Yeah,
campaigning.
indeed.
Bill English has said that you're untested for the position earlier this morning. How would you respond to that?
He's been tested as Prime Minister, trying to become Prime Minister before, and that didn't work out so well for him. So maybe coming in fresh and new into the role will be a good challenge for me, but one I'm ready for.
Mr. Little, how much did the Mount Albert performance or result affect and impact your decision? Was this in the works beforehand, or can you just explain that process?
Well, certainly the Mount Albert result has given everybody a heap of confidence that we're on track in terms of our preparation, our campaign technique, the quality of our candidates that we're putting up in electorates too. In the end, Annette King reflected on where things are at, and she made her decision, yesterday, which we've announced today, to step out of the deputy role and call time on her career, and that's prompted us then to start the work of filling the gap of deputy, and that'll be Caucus's job on Tuesday.
Did you have any others that you considered for the deputy role? Or did you just, no, would be just in the...
Oh no, 31 others were all fully considered.
What about a short list? Did you have a short list?
Look, I went from the whole lot to a long list to a short list, and I ended up with just...
Oh, want to name anyone else that was on a short list?
No, I'm not prepared to do that.
Being election year, are you concerned? Are you concerned that perhaps people might come out of the woodworks and contest the role, and therefore create a bit of drama? I guess.
The Labor Party is not immune from drama, and we are a democratic organisation, and people are welcome to put themselves forward. I am backing Jacinda because of the qualities that she has, and I know what she can bring to the deputy role, and I will be championing her. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Barry, you know you've got virtue on
It's a sign of good luck, so don't sweat it.
Standing up and doing English.
Or somebody's been studying at the city.
It's supposed to be good luck. Maybe that's why you got the first question from the press conference. Oh, no, that's okay. Auspicious.
All right, okay. Thank you.
That's embarrassing. I noticed you looking at it.
I was looking over your shoulder.
Barry,
Excuse
check that out on live television. Could you just turn around and give us a good eye cuddle?
There's a bathroom there, Barry, if you want to. You can take a bit of money. Oh, thanks. It's very decent. Look after the journalists. Thanks all.
Thank you. Good use of your live social media feed.
You might run a picture.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you so much.